Top of the day, everyone. How's everybody doing? Let's get this show on the road. This is Mr. Marco here. I want to take a moment to give a shout out to my family, my friends, the loved ones, and everyone that's going to be watching this. Hopefully you'll get something out of it. I know I got some laughs, some tears, some good experiences out of this video. What is this video about? Well, this video is about my life and all those who impact my life. Part one of this documentary of my life is about the early years. The early years of my life is unlike any other person growing up in the United States. It's some good times, some not so good times, some challenges, and some laughter along the way. So for me, my early years, as far back as I can remember, I'm gonna go till from the time I was about 5 years old, and going back from that time, from when I was about 5 years old, my early childhood experiences that I can remember is living in Kannapolis, North Carolina, about 16, 17 miles north of Charlotte, and growing up there with my cousins, Nene, Willie, Monique, Marcelina, my two brothers, James and Damon. We had some good times, good experiences. Some of the things that I can remember, me and my cousin Nene, we were two of a kind. Although we were cousins, first cousins, a lot of people looked at us as being brothers because we was always together. Even, during that time, I can remember playing marbles with him and some of our friends. I can remember riding bikes. I can remember racing up and down in the apartments over in Cabarrus Arms. I can remember all those things. One thing that stands out to me, actually two things that stands out to me from my 5 year to almost 6 years old time frame. Two things. One, both of them kind of funny, but I didn't think they were funny at the time, of course. One, I remember riding a bike. We was racing, kids, we ride bikes and we riding up and down in the neighborhood, pedaling bikes as fast as we can. And I believe I was pedaling a bike, either racing with my cousin or racing with some of the neighborhood friends, and the chain came off the bike. Now back then we didn't have the hand brake, so when the chain came off, for those who grew up during that time frame with the bicycles, if the chain goes off, what happens? No brakes. So the chain came off the bike, and I was trying to stop the bike, but I couldn't. I was going on a decline, and at the end of that particular parking lot I was in was a dumpster, and so I couldn't stop the bike. Trying to stop, yelling, screaming like any other kid, 5 years old, and I ran slap into the dumpster. And remember, everybody in the neighborhood that saw it, they was laughing. Of course, people, want to see if you was all right, but I remember that, and they were laughing at me. And I probably cried like any other kid who would at that time, but I thought it was funny looking back on the year. Sometimes when me and my cousins get together and we have our conversations as we reminisce, we bring that thing up that happened. One of the other things that happened back then was, believe it or not, we used to go digging in dumpsters for things that people threw away, stuff to do, dumb stuff, you ask me. But I remember digging in a dumpster for something, and I think either my cousin or one of the friends in the neighborhood was holding me as I was digging in the dumpster, and I'm not sure if they deliberately let me go. They probably didn't, but they let me go, and I fell and cut my hand on some glass, and I ended up having to go to the hospital to get some stitches. And the only thing I can remember from that, besides the crying, is my Aunt Fuzz was at the hospital with my mom as they took me over there, and as I was yelling as they was putting stitches in my hand, my Aunt Fuzz kept telling my mom, put some bubble gum in his mouth, put some bubble gum in his mouth, he can stop crying. But they was doing that, I was spitting it out because I was still hurting, and I still have the scar on my hand from the stitches that I got, and it's just a reminder that that happened at an early age. It's interesting how scars, they heal, but they really never heal. It's the scars still there. The wounds heal, I should say, but the scars are still there. 5 years old and growing up in Cabarrus Arms. Life in the early '70s in Kannapolis, Concord, Charlotte, probably no different than any other city, especially for young black people. We didn't think of ourselves as poor because we was kids. So children don't necessarily think of themselves as poor, especially 5 years old. You just want to go play, have a good time, and let the grown-ups worry about, providing food, paying rent, mortgage, whatever the case may be.